up, fishy friends? Welcome to Tim's School of Fishing. Class is in session. It's over. I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I can't think about knives. I can't talk about knives. At least today. Until tomorrow. Florida is on the verge of the biggest collapse in sports history, and I am sick to my freaking stomach. I am so absolutely sick to my stomach over my Florida Panthers. I just have to talk about hockey today. I know nobody gives a shit. I know nobody cares about hockey. Well, there's a couple people, and they're Canadian, or there's a few people, but not many. So I have been a Florida Panthers fan since day one when they were a brand new team in their inaugural season in 1993. 30 years. And I have been a Miami Dolphins fan for my whole life. And the reason for that is because my grandparents lived in Pompano Beach, which is essentially Fort Lauderdale, which is essentially the suburbs of Miami. So I am a South Florida sports fan. Even though I live in Northwest Florida, it's just in the blood, in the family. It is what it is. So I have been waiting 52 years, 51 if you count that Super Bowl, for the Dolphins to win, and they continually break my heart year after year after year. For the Florida Panthers, I was so excited when South Florida got a team, and I have been a fan for 30 years, and Florida Panthers have been a joke of a franchise. Their first 25 years of existence, they made the playoffs 5 times. They made it to the Stanley Cup Finals in 1996, which was only their fourth year in existence, and they got swept by the Colorado Avalanche, and that didn't hurt so bad. Colorado was an absolute freaking juggernaut. This was before the salary cap era, and they were just loaded. They had Patrick Waugh, the best goaltender in the world, Joe Sakic. They were just freaking loaded from top to bottom. We got our asses handed to us. Okay, great. We were never supposed to be there, and we lost to the best team in the freaking world. Didn't hurt so bad. The last 5 years of Florida Panthers history, we have been in the playoffs. The first time, first round loss. First round loss. Second round loss. Last year, we made the Stanley Cup Finals and lost to the Vegas Golden Knights in 5 games. We won 1 game. It took overtime to win that game, but the rest of that series, we were never in it, and Vegas absolutely whipped our ass. We weren't even supposed to be there because we barely made the playoffs last year. We were just outmatched in all phases of the game by the Vegas Golden Knights. So it hurt, but not that bad. This year's a different story. We started the series with a 3-0 lead. I didn't think we were going to sweep Edmonton, but to think that Edmonton could then come back and win 4 in a row, to think that we have 4 opportunities to win 1 game and we haven't done it yet. We've lost the last 3. So we got out to a 3-0 lead, and then Edmonton wins the next 3, and now it is Game 7, everything on the line, and I have absolutely no confidence that Florida is going to win tonight. Even though we are at home, we have been a dominant team all season long. We have been dominant all playoffs long. At the beginning of the season, people were talking about the Florida Panthers being a favorite to not only go back to the Stanley Cup this year, but to win it. And so all year, it was working, right? The whole playoffs, we were freaking dominant. We beat Tampa Bay. Then we beat the Boston Bruins. Then we beat the brakes off the New York Rangers. Then we were beating the brakes off Edmonton, just absolutely steamrolling through the playoffs. Then all of a sudden, Game 4 happens. And we lose 8-1. The goaltender gets pulled. Bobrovsky gets pulled. Prior to that, we were talking about him winning the Conn Smythe, which is the MVP. Everything turns on a dime. And then games 4, 5, and 6, Florida looks like they absolutely have no idea how to play hockey. Now, I could go into what's happening, why that's happening, but I probably, I know you guys are not hockey fans like I'm a hockey fan, but basically Florida is an aggressive forechecking team. It's kind of like a full court press in basketball. We send all 5 of our guys down into Edmonton zone and just smother them, right? And just dominate down in Edmonton zone in the opposing team zone. And it's like we have 7 guys on the ice and the other team can't even get it out of the zone, and we just wear teams down that way until we score. So game 4, and ever since then, here's what Edmonton decides to do. So we're playing our dominant forecheck. They take one of their guys, and they just park him on the blue line at the other end. And you would think, well, now we've got 5 guys in here against their 4. But no, what do? We pull one of our defenders back to respect that player that's sitting down there on the blue line. So you would think, well, if we can dominate a forecheck 5-on-5, why can't we dominate a forecheck 4-on-4? And the reason is because it opens up the ice. There's more open ice, and Edmonton is faster than us as a team. So what do? As soon as Edmonton gets the puck in their own zone, they make an outlet pass to that other player down on the blue line. Suddenly our guys are chasing. Edmonton breaks out of the neutral zone with all this open ice, and then it's a track meet. And we cannot win a track meet against Edmonton. So they've essentially said, we're going to park a guy back here. It's going to create open ice, and we're going to beat you that way because we're faster than you. And it's working. It's absolutely working. So there's only 2 ways for Florida to stop that. You can either respect that guy back on the blue line, which is what we've done, or we can double down and say, screw that guy. We're going to continue our forecheck, which is what we haven't done. The problem is, if you double down and continue to forecheck, if they do get a breakaway and a fly out and an odd man rush, you have to depend on your goaltender to be able to make the save. Well, in the first 3 games that was happening, but I think game 4, when Bobrovsky got pulled, I think it got in his head and it shook him, and he has not been the same player ever since. Bobrovsky has always been streaky as a goaltender, and I love the guy, but he is either red hot or he is less than average. And right now, after game 4, it got in his head, and he has been absolutely less than average. We changed the way we played, and now our guys don't know what to do because they only know one way to play, which is aggressive forecheck. Now we're not forechecking. Now our goalie's in his head, and it's just absolutely all gone to shit. And let me talk about Paul Maurice, our coach, for a second. This is his 2nd season at Florida. His first season last year, he took us to the Stanley Cup Finals. We got our asses handed to us. This year, he takes us to the Stanley Cup Finals, and we are on the verge of the biggest collapse in sports history. There's only one other thing that can compare to it, and it's the Atlanta Falcons and New England Patriots 28-3. Atlanta was winning 28-3 at halftime, and the Patriots came back and won the game. Other than that, there is nothing even close. Now, hockey fans would say, well, the Toronto Maple Leafs were down 3-0 and they came back and won the Stanley Cup and won 4 in a row like Edmonton's about to do in 1942. Nobody gives a shit about 1942, man. So that shit doesn't even count. Florida is on the verge of the biggest collapse in sports history, and I am sick to my freaking stomach. We are going to be memes forever. We are going to be the butt of jokes forever. Florida has had a chance at becoming a legitimate team in the NHL, and they've had 4 opportunities to win the cup, and they are about to freaking blow it. And I don't see anything that points to Florida being able to win this game. Nothing. Now, let me get back on about Paul Maurice. Paul Maurice is the winningest coach in the NHL that has never won a Stanley Cup. He has more wins than any other coach that has never won a Stanley Cup. And there's a reason for that. He is also the losingest coach in NHL history. And there's a reason for that. I was not happy with the hire of Paul Maurice. I think Paul Maurice is an absolute fraud. This has happened time and time and time again in Paul Maurice's career. He is a regular season coach, and then he gets in the playoffs and he cannot finish. And until he does, he is a fraud. Does that mean I hope he doesn't win tonight? Of course not. Of course not. I hope he does. But until he does, he's a fraud. And there is nothing that points to Florida winning this game tonight. Paul Maurice has made no adjustments. Edmonton has made adjustments, and they have handed our ass to us. And Paul Maurice, all he has done is sit there in his freaking press conferences and say, I don't believe in momentum. Really? You don't believe in momentum? Well, you should, because the Edmonton Oilers believe in momentum. The rest of the world believes in momentum. This whole Zen bullshit that you try to spew in the media and say, oh, every game's a new game, it doesn't matter. Horse shit. Horse shit. Edmonton figured out how to beat the aggressive forecheck, and you have done absolutely nothing to counter it except play passive. And if you play passive against a team as fast as Edmonton with the best player in the world, Connor McDavid, you are going to get your asses handed to you. They are going to skate circles around you, and that's exactly what's happening. Our guys are standing flat-footed. They don't know what to do. They're on their heels, and Edmonton just keeps coming. And meanwhile, Paul Maurice has done nothing to try to change anything. Big whoop. You took somebody out of the fourth line. You sat Okposo and you brought Cousins back in. Nobody gives a shit about the fourth line. You've done absolutely nothing. He made one change on the power play. But other than that, he hasn't done anything. Florida, your only chance is to double down on your forecheck and be more aggressive. Continue to play your game and hope that Bobrovsky can get his head out of his ass to stop any breakaway that might happen. But sitting back and playing passive for 3 games in a row has not worked. This hurts worse than last year because we were never in it. This hurts worse than 1996 because we were never in it. We have been 1 win away for 4 games now, and we cannot get it done. That shit hurts. I would rather not make the playoffs. And then you've got these freaking sunshine, casual Florida Panthers fans that say, oh, well, Paul Maurice took us to the Stanley Cup final 2 years in a row. Big freaking deal. It means absolutely frick all if you don't win it. It means nothing. Going to the playoffs means nothing. Going to the finals means nothing if you don't win it. Ask Jim Kelly how he feels about going to 4 Super Bowls and never winning one. Ask Fran Tarkenton or whoever was the quarterback when Minnesota went to 4 and didn't win one, right? And we're not coming back next year. If we lose this and suffer the worst choke job in sports history, this team needs to be blown up. We have taken guys that were average, that their other teams gave up on, like Carter Verhaeghe, Sam Bennett, Sam Reinhart, guys like that. Those guys need to go. They have overperformed in a Florida uniform, and if this happens, there is no overcoming it. None. Mentally, they are done. If this happens to them, they are done. Of course, Barkov is not going anywhere. Of course, Forsling is not going anywhere. Look, you got to get rid of 7 or 8 guys. Paul Maurice needs to hit the freaking door. I'm sorry, but Bobrovsky's like 50 years old. He needs to go too. No, Stolars is not the answer. Knight is not the answer. Sign a freaking real goaltender that's in his prime, that's young, that has some years left. Send 6 or 7 guys packing and blow it up, because this shit is not working. I'm just sick to my stomach. Absolutely sick to my stomach. 30 years. 30 years. And we are 1 win away for 4 games in a row and can't get it done. So do I hope Florida wins tonight? Of course I do. Of course I do. And you know, those Sunshiner fans that keep saying, yay, we're in the finals 2 years in a row and you still have to believe. Believe? But there's nothing to believe in. Have you been watching? You don't get bonus fan points for continuing to believe when we have been swirling the drain for 3 games in a row and nothing points to us winning Game 7. Everything points to us being embarrassed. You don't get bonus fan points for continuing to believe and being a sunshiner. It doesn't mean that you're going to enjoy it if we win any more than I am because you believed. It doesn't mean that it's going to hurt you any more than it's going to hurt me because you continue to believe. What it means is you've got your head up your ass and you can't see what the rest of the world sees. Of course I want my team to win, but do I believe? No, I don't believe. There's nothing to believe in. Suddenly we look like a beer league hockey team. Anyway, I am just sick to my stomach. This is Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals. This is our 4th chance to win the trophy. And if we don't win tonight, Florida will be a meme forever. Choking will forever be referred to as panthering or bobbing for Bobrovsky. And it just absolutely makes me sick. All of those new fans that we've gotten over the last 5 years when Florida's been a legitimate team, they'll be gone as fast as they showed up. And we'll be back to having 12 hardcore fans, me being one of them. And yeah, I just don't see it. Players aren't going to want to come play there. We're going to be the perennial freaking loser. And meanwhile, that other team in Florida just continues to have success. Blow it up. If we don't win tonight, blow the shit up and start over. Just do it. I'm just sick. I should be excited for Game 7, and I am absolutely dreading it. Can't think about knives. I can't talk about knives. I'm just ready for this shit to be over because they're freaking killing me. Just like I'd rather them just suck and never go to the playoffs than this crap that we've had to suffer the last 5 years. Paul Maurice, you're a freaking fraud until you're not. And the rest of you, Verhaeghe, Reinhart, Bennett, you need to step your asses up. And you too, Tkachuk, step up because nobody on Florida, there's 2 players on Florida's team right now that have played worth a shit this series, and it's Barkov and Forsling. The rest of you guys have been absolute freaking ass stains. And that's it. Freaking, it's gut check time. Figure it the fuck out because you're about to be an absolute embarrassment. I'll be back to talking about knives tomorrow. I'm just had to get that off my chest. So thanks for indulging me. As always, I appreciate you for watching. Give me a thumbs up. Drop me a comment down in the comment section. Let me know who you think's going to win tonight. Edmonton's going to win tonight. I hope it's not. I'm praying for a miracle, but we need a miracle. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. Just click my logo right over there. I promise I'll be back to knives tomorrow. I'll either be happy or I'll be grumpy Timmy. That's it for this episode of Tim's School of Fish, boys and girls. Class dismissed.